Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. We're so excited for you to be here for our May release webinar. You'll hear from myself, Dee, and Andy, who I think you've heard from a number of times, so we're not going to do a ton of introductions. We have some good content that we're going to cover, and then we're going to take Q&A at the end. If you have questions, please use the Q&A module in the webinar instead of putting things in the chat. The chat moves really fast and something we can't keep track of. So any questions that you might have as we go, or anything you think of, feel free to use the Q&A module. So for the first big thing, it has been a very big time at Syncro, and we have launched XMM. I know we did a letter out to everyone here, but the biggest thing that we wanted to talk about here is XMM, we believe, is the next logical evolution of products for all of you. It combines your single platform that has all of your RMM, all of your PSA, which you've come to know from Syncro, and now adding Microsoft 365 management as a third peer under the XMM hood. Microsoft 365 management includes a number of different features, but initially we've set this up on Microsoft Entra ID and security baselines. So for Microsoft 365 tenants, you can connect single tenants or your entire CSP portfolio, so you can easily onboard, manage one or many of all of your tenants. This is going to help all of you that are IT admins or multi-tenant MSPs. You'll also have your Entra ID continuous user sync, so keep all of your users' information up to date. It's going to get rid of your manual user creation or any changes that might happen in Microsoft that is your source of truth to come into Syncro. You'll also be able to take a number of different actions within the Syncro platform directly to interact with your Microsoft tenants. So that includes things like resetting passwords for users, resetting their MFA. Your techs will be able to actually handle that directly from the Syncro interface, never having to leave and going external to Microsoft. We also have security posture assessments, or security baselines. This is going to assess your Microsoft tenant based on CIS security baselines. It allows you to sell new offerings. It gives you upsell opportunities, and it also gives you tool consolidation to understand where your Microsoft tenants are. It's kind of the next evolution in policies of what we're used to on the endpoint side. Now you can do that on your Microsoft tenant. You can also track your drift in real time. You'll have automated rule checks, alerts. This is going to make sure that your technicians and you stay ahead of any changes that your end clients may make, or any compliance gaps that come up. So with those, we're going to have a very quick demo of here. So this is our Entra user ID actions that you can leverage. And so directly from the new end user detail page, you can go in and take an action within any user to reset their password or to reset their MFA. You'll get all of their license information through the Entra ID sync. You'll get their last activity and all of their MFA details. This syncs once an hour, but any of these actions that you take happen in real time, and you'll be able to update them directly. Next, we have our security baselines. So again, think of this as kind of policies for your Microsoft tenants. So we have the security essential baseline that has 22 different rules that are aligned with the CIS security framework. And the CIS security framework comes up with very specific things that you should keep for your security in your Microsoft tenants. So in every single one of these rules, you'll be able to control notifications. You'll understand the details specifically of what framework that applies to. It'll give you detailed remediation instructions. So everything that you can do. And then what you'll be able to do is assign these baselines directly to any one of the tenants that you are managing through Microsoft that you've connected into the Syncro, and it will tell you the compliance across that CIS framework. So this one is pending and it will run, but over time it will give you the exact number of rules that passed and failed, and will monitor drift over time so that you get notifications if someone does, for some reason, enable guest user access. You'll be able to know right away, and you can handle yourself whether you want those notifications to continue to appear. Next, Dee is going to talk us through some of the other things we released this month.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Kristen. Let's talk about a few more things, all exciting stuff, bunch of questions in chat, and we will, I'm sorry, in the Q&A module. So feel free to keep adding your questions in Q&A, and we'll make sure we leave a lot of time at the end to go through all of those. So I'm going to dig in a little bit deeper into one of the things that Kristen touched upon, which is our end user redesign. And so we have released a redesign of the contact section, renamed it to end user, and really just increased the level of functionality and capability you have in this area of product. So the list of end users now includes a standard table, so you can display different fields, email, phone, location. You can display associated assets for quickly linking out to those assets. And you can really select what you want to display. And, it makes it just a lot easier to kind of go through your users. Over time, we're going to continue to enhance this page and allow you to take bulk action and do a bunch of different things on your users. We've also added a separate page that allows us to make linking to a specific user just a simple click away from every place. And so this is right now where we have the actions where you can reset password or reset MFA if you've set up Microsoft. We're going to have, or you can link out to an asset. And so having this page is going to allow us to let you link these to tickets and associated assets. So a fast follow project that we have here is we're going to make it so that you can easily, today, if you have an asset associated already or you've associated it in Microsoft, it will come over, but we're going to make it really easy for you to associate assets with end users and then link to and view tickets associated with the end user as well, right from here.
Just a special shout out from me on the associated assets part. I think I've heard that like a million times over the years. I'm so glad that we finally we added that one for folks. This one's super cool.
Yeah, very popular request for sure. And we know all of you, like as you go through your workflows every day, we're trying to hit those things that you're running into all the time to just make it effortless. So definitely a focus of ours. Next project I'll talk through is the patching dashboard. The patching dashboard is out. It's available in beta. And the patching dashboard, you might have to go under more on your tabs if you don't have tab space for it. So if you don't see it, it's out there. It's just tucked away under more. And so really this provides centralized visibility into your patch status across all of your managed Windows devices. And so it consolidates basically all of that into one place. So you can identify where patches are missing. You can verify what policies are applied, filter your data. And so here in the top, you can really clearly see, what % of your fleet is in compliance, basically determined by your policy settings. And so you can see which devices are, what percentage of devices are complying with the policies that you have set for them. So if you've blocked a certain KB or something, it won't detriment against you in that section. It will really show you how it's complying to what you've set as your policies. It also shows you your % coverage, meaning which percentage of assets are actually being managed by a Windows update policy in the system today. In the middle, you see a pie chart of missing patches by status. So you can easily see which machines might need an update or a reboot. You can click into any category and it's going to automatically filter that table below for you as well if you want to dig in there. And then on the top right, it's really a breakdown of servers and workstations that are out of compliance, broken down by severity. So if you really want to take a look at what are the quick hits of high priority server patches that are missing, it kind of gives you a place to really focus in and really, dig in to look at what's missing. The bottom part of the page is really a representation of all of the data that's at the top. And so you're able to, you can actually click the settings cogwheel at the top and you can, determine, do you want to show data for all of your customers or just one customer? You can determine what time period. You can even decide if you want to actually just show unmanaged assets. So if you're not managing via policy and you've decided to manage some of your scripting, some of your patching through scripts or some other mechanism, you can choose to also show those devices in the table. And then the table below can be customized based on customer, columns, how it's grouped. It can also be easily exported. So it's a really nice way to be able to slice and dice your data and really get a good picture of what's happening, as well as to be able to install missing patches and kind of take some quick action based on what you need to do. All right. Move on to the next project, and this is Ticket Metric Standardization. So this is rolled out across everyone's projects. It's rolled out in general access. And the goal was really to standardize the calculation of average first response time, average resolution time, so that you can see kind of across the whole platform, we're using a standard calculation. Our Doc Center has the logic behind that calculation. And so you can just go in there and you can see exactly how those metrics are being calculated. And so we've really tried to make sure that the settings include taking into account your business hours and your SLAs, so that we're, really having a logical approach to how we calculate those metrics for you.
Yeah, I know we had a lot of questions about that a while back, where it was, hey, if I get a ticket at 4:59 on Friday, am I burning down 3 days on my metrics? You're not anymore. Like, all that stuff's now being taken into account, which is super good.
Yeah. The next slide is something I'm excited to share a little bit more about. We've spun up, we've always tried in the background to do, kind of the smaller things, fix bugs, handle feature requests, but we really heard from all of you that we needed to accelerate our efforts here, and we really needed to dig in more. And so we've really put a lot of focus in and around quality of life features. And so we have, a much bigger dedication to kind of some of the smaller things that people are asking for, to either improve the experience, address gaps in the experience, and just really help tick off some of the things that bother you in your day-to-day, or some of the things that could really juice your productivity. And so, some of the highlights here, I won't read the whole slide to you, but like adding things into the API, for example. So, we have product SKUs, we've added estimate name. You'll see us add more things into the API, because we've heard a lot of requests for people who are trying to get access to different parts of the API. Smaller updates like adding, ticket tags and recurring invoices to just make it much easier for you to go through that process. Alphabetizing lists, adding different fields to reports, making it so that you can search archived customers. So these are all the quick hit things that, in our product feedback, people are putting in the product feedback for things like this. We're kind of taking all that in. We're prioritizing things we hear from multiple people. We're prioritizing things that are hitting more people's day to day. And so you'll see us every month, kind of releasing things in this area. Our release notes has the whole list of things. If you're curious about kind of all the things that happen in a given month, you can go into the release notes and get the detail on that. And we'll try to hit on it here in the webinar. Like I said, I don't want to read a lengthy list to folks. Hopefully you'll just start to see these things coming in, and it will just feel better for you overall in Syncro. And so it's an area that I'm excited to see us making some really good progress on.
Yeah, just adding again, the vast majority of these are all coming from your feedback, and you guys can now submit that right from within the product, right in the resource center, the icon at the top of the header of your Syncro instance.
Absolutely. All right. So in addition, so we can move into some things that are in early access now. So Kristen talked about a lot of these things, and I even saw some questions come in around the Microsoft 365 management features. And so those are all in early access right now, what Kristen talked through. We anticipate those going out to generally available, in the coming days and weeks. It's soon. We are trying to make sure we're handholding folks that need it, and we're putting in place some additional error checking and just kind of walking through some of the early access, but we're really close to general availability on all of those Microsoft features. And I'm going to hand it back to Kristen now as well to talk about a few more things that are in early access.
Yeah, first up, so again, anyone who wants to be in part of the early access for Microsoft, great, but we also have a couple of other things. So first up is our ticket timer enhancements and how we're handling that with inside Syncro. This is a lot of like smaller items that we've heard, and kind of overall redesigning this entire section so it's easier to read. The controls are in a better place, that makes more sense across the board. So what the current time entry shows the total for the running timer only, and it doesn't not an aggregate of all the time. So that's going to be a big change from what you see today, where today you always see the full aggregate of time. The current time entry is just going to show the time within that. And then a big one that's been requested for a long time is the ability to write your notes as the timer is running. So you can do that now. And on top of that, the notes control is going to support new lines. So you have more option to expand as you press the enter key, and you can add whatever detailed amount of notes that you want to do within the ticket timer. At the bottom, you'll also see the total for all of the actual time and the billable time, which is kind of one of my personal favorites across the whole ticket timer enhancements here. So you can just quickly see all of this at a glance. It's incredibly valuable and big changes. We've also redesigned the labor log, so it's much more simple to work with. You can see what's changed a lot easier. You can see what has been charged, what hasn't been charged. You can see what's already been invoiced. The billable time toggle is a lot clearer here, and just the look and feel overall UI UX of this has been improved kind of overall. We've added the totals for the actual time and the billable time again, and we've added pagination for some of those complex tickets that might have tons of time entries in this. So please feel free to sign up for this early access on the roadmap page. We'll make sure that it's in the chat. But we're really excited to seeing this going out. And now over to Andy to talk about universal billing.
Yeah, so last month in our release webinar, we went pretty deep on what we're building here with universal billing and how this is going to change the game when it comes to dynamically billing out your third-party licenses out of Syncro. I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on where this is at. This is actually moving into early access with our first supported vendor, which is Proofpoint. That's happening today. So for folks already signed up for the early access, you'll be hearing from me later this afternoon. Then in the event you are a Proofpoint customer and you did not get an email invite from me, send me a note at andy@syncromsp.com and just let me know that you want into early access, and I'll make sure that happens for you. All right, so that's where the status of universal billing is at. I'm going to pass it back to Dee for some roadmap updates now.
Sounds great. Thanks, Andy. So if we hop into the public roadmap, first up, we have a set of projects that are in progress. And for most of these, we've talked about the bulk of these already, the ticket timer, the Entra ID sync, baselines, user actions. So there are two that we haven't really covered. And so I'm going to hand it to Kristen to cover network discovery, and then I'll chat a little bit about what's happening in the mobile app.
We know we just came out with network discovery, two phases there. So now you can discover all of your devices and you can install those devices, take action on them. But we're doing a lot of smaller improvements based on feedback that we got throughout early access and feedback from all of you that are using network discovery. So one of the biggest ones is notifications on newly discovered devices. So anytime one of your scans runs and discovers something brand new, you're able to get a notification. You also will get more detail on any errors, failed installations that may be happening. There's some other smaller quality of life things like stopping a discovery run if it's in progress. We've added some additional columns and made the table auto refresh. And then specifically, you'll be able to have agent-specific installation creds instead of having to have something for the overall profile. You can handle that in kind of a one-off. And then in case you need an asset that is your primary node that was deleted, we've added a lot more handling around that to make sure that you're aware that the scans don't just run and error every single time. So you'll actually be able to respond to that. So we have a bunch of network discovery. Again, these are a lot of smaller quality of life things, and you'll see these roll out kind of over the next couple weeks. It's not going to be something that waits. You'll just see these improvements over time.
Right. Similarly, next up on the mobile app, Syncro Mobile, we have continued to add things and update the mobile app month over month. We'll continue to do that. The latest update is really support for end users in the app. This is something we heard from all of you, in terms of as you're on the go, being able to easily search for end users, view their details, edit their information, link directly to their assets. And so adding that capability right in the mobile app so it becomes more useful for you as you are trying to get your work done on the road. We've made that just a lot easier. And once again, you'll see that roll out in the coming probably weeks. You'll see this basically just roll out in a mobile app update. So coming soon. All right. And then in terms of what's coming up next, a lengthy list of items as I was going through this slide. I think so many that we actually have 2 slides worth of up next right now. And so one is a unified ticket view. So really giving you access to a view that is going to encompass all of your assigned and subscribed tickets into a single view, as well as any unassigned tickets. You can have just a quick hit and view of all of that. And then one of the most popular feature requests we've had, which is this ability to archive assets. We are in kind of design phase on archive assets, and so that's up next. We'll also continue to add updates. We just talked about our mobile app. We will be adding, and I saw this question in some of the Q&A come through, we are going to be adding a Linux agent. And so we are in kind of design mode on plans for a Linux agent. We have a small kind of fast follow project here around end users to make it easy to link assets and tickets. And then we are going to be continuing to expand on the baseline capability as well in the short term. And so before I hand it back over to Andy, one other project we have on up next is the ability to easily invoice your customers for Microsoft license users. So as part of the new syncing, we're bringing over all the license information from Microsoft. We're going to make it so that it's really easy for you to tie that in with invoicing in Syncro. So if you want to bill through for that, you should be able to do that really easily. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Andy to talk about another up next project.
The Microsoft, the license user stuff, being able to invoice that, it'll work similarly to how we do everything else and how we're building out the universal billing stuff. So, if you've got 25 business premium licenses on a particular customer who increases, you onboard 2 new users with those licenses, it's just going to adjust the quantity on your recurring invoice to 27 and bill accordingly. So again, the days of, we're getting rid of the days where you're billing admins, you're just spending ridiculous amounts of times counting all this stuff manually and misbilling and everything that goes along with that. The second big item on this list is asset warranty tracking. This one's going to be a team plan feature as well. And this will allow Syncro to pull the warranty status of endpoints automatically by showcasing like the start date of the warranty, end date of the warranty, and whether or not the endpoint's warranty is currently active or expired. This is going to support pulling warranty information for Dell, HP, Lenovo, Microsoft, and Toshiba computers as of today. So I want to give everybody just a brief walkthrough of how this is going to work mechanically. These are obviously just raw mockups. I actually just saw some new mockups today, which are cooler than this. I didn't get to put it in here in time, but the final version is going to look a little bit different than what I'm showing you guys here. This is the quick asset information that we show on asset records today. And you can see the last 2 items on the list would now include warranty date and warranty status. There's also going to be a way to manually edit these dates if you wanted to, and that's going to exist for 2 reasons. One, if you've got a warranty that was expired like this one and you go out and you buy a third-party extended warranty, I want you to be able to track that, and have it work within the same feature set as everything else. And the second reason is for device types that we don't support, like maybe Asus or Acer, if you had a one-off of those, you'll be able to add those warranties ad hoc and again, work them into the same feature sets that we're going to talk about here. We're also going to add this into the system info tab on asset records so you can visualize all of your endpoint data in a single place. There's going to be a couple other features here that we're expecting to include as well. First one is warranty data will be returned in the API, in our API when grabbing endpoint data. I already know somebody was typing up that question, so yes, we've got you covered on that one. We're going to make the warranty information available as standard data fields, and that means you'll be able to add it to as columns into your asset tables and reports and things like that. So it'll natively work in several reports, including the asset audit reports, as well as the list blocks within our 2 report builders. And then last but not least, we're going to add RMM alerts based on a customizable number of days until any given warranty expires. So as an example, at my MSP, we had a big motion that was when a warranty was expiring, we would want to get notified 90 days out. Our salespeople would take that over and they would go ahead and obviously try to sell extended warranties. If it's 30 days or 5 days or whatever it is, you guys can customize that globally to whatever you're going to want there. Now, again, this one's included with the team plan. However, we are going to make this available a la carte to core plan users as well on a per account basis. So a per account cost means the price would be the same regardless of how many technicians you currently have on Syncro. Now, I don't have pricing for that just yet, but I will have it for everybody by the next time our next release webinar rolls around. Okay, so with all that said, that's all the prepared content we have today. So we're going to roll into Q&A. And again, I'm just reminding everybody again, please use the Q&A button in Zoom. We're not able to pull the questions out of chat. And I've obviously been talking, so I have been watching the Q&A. So I don't know, Kristen or Dee, if either of you have something queued up, go ahead, take it away.
Yeah, there's I think a bunch queued up. So thank you everyone that's asking some questions. There's a lot of them on M365. So I'll answer a couple. ICD also is going to answer a couple. One of the first ones that I wanted to is I saw this come in a couple of times around the permissions request from Syncro. And so when you first onboard a tenant, I saw a question around this too, is how do you onboard a tenant? So what you'll do is you'll go into your admin settings. Microsoft Tenant Management is within the RMM settings, and it will prompt an authorization for Microsoft, whether you choose a single tenant or a CSP, and it will show you all of the permissions. When we went through this from a development standpoint, we looked at kind of all of the things that we might want to do in the future on the roadmap. Re-granting consent through Microsoft and having all of you have to go in for every of your tenants that you have, re-grant them to make sure that you can use new features can be really tedious. Now I'll say we're re-auditing a bunch of these permissions to see what are the most critical ones and where do we think we'll be in kind of 6 or 8 months. But that's why we went through there, is that once it's set up, re-granting consent with Microsoft is a challenging and something that causes a lot of work for you all. And so we're trying to make the balance of least privilege while also making sure that we have a lot of roadway to run with on all of the improvements that we want to do. We have a lot of things coming down the pipe here at Syncro with M365 management. I saw that was a question in there too, as what are we doing for some things? So you'll continue to see additional Entra ID actions that we're going to continue to add. We're going to continue to add security baselines and some improvements in those areas, additional rules, additional frameworks that you can use. So you'll see a lot of those things show up on our roadmap, but that is why we tried to look at the permissions the way they are. Gord, I saw that was one of your questions. I know a couple other people asked. If you would like more information, feel free to ask a follow-up.
Great. I'll take a couple. Thanks, Kristen. So a few people asked, what are we doing around Google Workspace? And do we have plans to do something similar for Google Workspace? At this time, we don't have plans to add Google Workspace. We've heard by and large, most folks are really focused in on Microsoft. We're really focusing on getting the Microsoft stuff fully built out. So no plans right now for Google. And I will, just to follow on to Kristen's walkthrough, someone else asked for details on how to link tenants and how this all works. So even for folks that don't have it right in our doc center today, we've added a whole new section called Microsoft 365 Management. Inside that section is a quick start guide. We're continuing to add to that quick start guide. It has some short form videos as well as documentation on the full process for how you map, how you connect, how you sync over your users. And so you can take a look in there. Like I said, we're continuing to add to it as we learn more. And so we're updating it a lot, but there are some nice videos and step throughs in there as well. And then in terms of when this takes effect, I believe we have over 100 partners that have expressed interest in early access and are in phases of getting this all set up and running. I think once we make it well over that 100 mark and we feel confident and comfortable that we've been kind of working through any sort of corner cases with those folks and getting things documented, making sure we'll have a smooth experience, we should be able to turn this on, as I said, in general availability. You know, I'll be shocked if we show up at our June webinar and we're not saying it's already GA by the time you're sitting in front of us in June.
All right, there's a couple here around, can I sync one client at a time? You know, am I going to cause duplicate entries? Also, does it delete users from Syncro, or to make sure that you have Syncro users set up? So a couple of things. One, if and when you link your CSP, you choose when to link and how to sync those users. So we didn't show this in here, but as Dee said, in our documentation center, it has all of the details of how you can do this. You can filter the users that you want to sync in if you only want to sync a specific number of users. And we're not going to delete, if you have a user in Syncro that already exists, we're not deleting users that are outside of that. So we're not modifying it. We'll just match up any users that exist within Microsoft with users that exist within Syncro. If a user gets deleted in Microsoft, it will mark that user as disabled in Microsoft in the Syncro platform so that you can actually filter by that. You can exclude them from counts. You can do a number of different things on that side, but it won't delete users that already exist in Syncro. And again, when you set up your CSP, you can either choose to do a single tenant, so one at a time, Or when you connect your CSP, we don't automatically sync users or connect them to any of your organizations in Syncro at all. So you can still set that up manually one at a time as you go through and making sure your billing is set up there.
I have a question about universal billing. They're saying they're syncing it through Azure Active Directory, but aren't selling 365 licenses to your customer. Does that create issues? It doesn't. Reason being is because when you create a recurring invoice, this is true of all the universal billing stuff, you'd physically have to say, if they have this license, I'm going to charge this customer X. So in your case, you can do one of two things. If you want to show value in what you're doing and just say, hey, it's included, you can set it as a $0 line item on the invoice, or you could just not include it at all. You'll always be able to see the license counts against the organization record and what contact has what license, or end user rather, but you won't need to bring it to invoicing if you don't want to. And Randall's asking about, this is a good question. I don't know if we want to answer this one now. Can Microsoft tenants be handled through Syncro if we currently use TD Synnex for Microsoft products instead of direct with Microsoft? Well, the answer to the first part is you can bring your data in. If you're asking about being able to provision licenses within Syncro instead of going through TD, I'll just say that the point of everything we're doing here is to bring as much into Syncro as humanly possible without having you to go to all of these external portals and these external utilities to do things like that. And I think I'll leave it at that. Richard is asking, would you be able to add asset warranty to custom asset types? So Richard, phase one, no. This is something that we're looking at. And because it's custom asset types, there's some things to consider, like the way that the manufacturer is put in there, if you have the manufacturer there at all. So I think at the least what we'll wind up doing in a phase two is letting you put in custom warranties for those so they'll still work within the same system. And then we'll look later on about potentially finding a way to automate that. But I think that's the closest that you'll see for custom asset types, but not as a phase one. And I do see a couple questions about the team plan trial. You can trial the team plan again. I believe it's every 6 months because we're just constantly adding stuff. So we want to make sure that folks on the core plan always have an on-ramp to test out what's new. So am I saying that right? It's every 6 months you're able to trial? Yeah.
Yep.
So if
you
you're
just
within
hop
that
right into
time
your
frame,
account. Yep. Oh, sorry, Andy.
no, that's okay. I was just going to say, if you're within that time frame, and I know we're releasing like a lot of really awesome stuff, I would just say wait till the Microsoft stuff in particular comes into EA, and then get with your success rep or get with me directly if you want to try it once that stuff is out and you're within that range. We can get that set for you again.
Absolutely. I'll take one on patch management. Someone's asking if we're recommending patch management through Syncro directly or using Microsoft to manage it and only view and audit through Syncro. I'd say we're providing flexibility. Managing all your patching through Syncro certainly provides a simple way to do that and kind of have everything in one place. So you can have your policies as well as your view into it. But we do want to provide you with the flexibility to do it however works for you. And so I wouldn't say we're shutting down one way or another. We're just trying to make sure we're giving you great visibility no matter how you manage your patches.
Craig's asking, when will the asset warranty be released? Well, we officially kicked it off yesterday, so I would hate to give a date on that and miss it. I don't think this one's going to take an exceptionally long time. This one's relatively, I hesitate to say, but relatively low lift. So if I had to guess, you guys should at least see an early access probably sometime in June. Another question by Sherry asking, what about a notification for expiring software licenses like firewall renewals? I think that's a really good idea, Sherry. There is a workaround you can do today. You could add those firewall renewals as a custom asset type. And when you add a date field, you can put your renewal in there. And then we've got in the notification center, I believe there's two notifications. One is for when a date field on an asset record is like 7 days out. And then there's another one for 30 days out. So you could theoretically track it that way today. But shoot me an email if you've got more ideas, because I do think like we could expand on that. That's a very cool way to do that.
Okay, there's a question around addressing risk of allowing Syncro to manage your tenants and how are we doing that? As we all know, unfortunately, having an RMM and the ability to manage things across multiple locations as an MSP inherently creates risk. So things to do that will simplify your workflow, of course, there are going to be risks there. So we have a number of things that we do internally to keep our security very high and make sure that Syncro as a whole does not get breached. We also recommend a number of things for your account. So you can turn on pieces like IP allow list to only allow users to log in from specific IPs. You can turn on SSO so that you can manage everything kind of for your login. You can, force MFA in a bunch of areas. So there's a couple of things I think that you can do on your side. We're also looking at kind of security and permissions as a whole as we're doing all of these to make sure that major changes within the tenants and things that and of course assets as well. Again, you can do a number of different things. I've unfortunately personally seen MSPs have their RMM compromised and deployed ransomware. So we all know that there's risk to all of these different areas. And so our goal as a company is to minimize that risk as much as possible. And also to kind of focus on what is needed and kind of what we are working on for access. And then there's a lot that you can continue to do within your accounts. We're happy to share any of our compliance or any of our security things for any of our customers that would like that. Then there was a question on like audit mode for the baseline feature. Yes, so initially kind of out of the gate, it is audit mode. We are not going to automatically remediate any of the rules for you. This is for you to look at to say, where do things fail? Where do things pass? And what do you need to change? So initially that is exactly what it is. And then you can choose to go in and kind of update and improve over time. We'll be adding things to automatically remediate that you can control. So if you want something to automatically remediate, you'll be able to do that down the line in the future. But there's a lot of caveats to that. We all know that we make changes in our Microsoft tenant to test things sometimes, or that you don't want to automatically turn back on. So yes, it is audit mode.
Your question, Rick is asking, will they be notified when features are out of EA? They were waiting to do a Teams plan trial until the XMM stuff was fully available. Normally we do our release stuff on usually like the first weekish of each month, but that might be a good idea for this one if we want to are we planning on doing that, like a notification to everybody when it's fully live in GA?
Yeah, absolutely. We can do an in-product, like a little announcement that will just show up for folks so they can see when it's fully live, for sure.
Dee, there's a couple questions on asset archiving, just asking about the general time frame. Is that something that we can give yet or not just yet?
I don't have a full time frame on asset archiving. The team is getting close to finalizing the technical design for it, which is when I'll get a better sense of, when it will come out. By next month, it will move from on deck to fully in progress. And, I believe we'll see it out, while the weather is still warm, but I really can't give a full date on that yet. Another question that came in and around some of the Microsoft stuff, someone was asking, can we see which users have MFA enabled and don't have it enabled? And yes is the answer to that. So on each user, you're going to be able to see what license they have, as well as if they have MFA enabled. You'll be able to see their last activity on Microsoft. So we're pulling all that information over into the product as well. There were also a couple questions on managing mobile devices, and does Syncro have plans around managing mobile devices? We are investigating, working with Intune and investigating other options there. And so nothing on the roadmap right now, but it's definitely something that is on our radar, even though we're not doing work in that area just yet.
Joe's asking, besides network discovery and the team plan, will there be any way in core plan to track new devices added to a customer? There will not be. That will just be a feature specific to the team plan. There's a couple questions also about adding credit card surcharges. Traditionally in the past, we have shied away from that because there were several states where that wasn't, I don't think it was legal in those states. There were some credit card agreements that were trying to prevent folks from doing that. I believe recently the majority, if not all of those, have been kicked. I don't want to speak for every state. I don't know offhand. But Bobby in the background, one of our product managers, is saying that is on the radar for a billing site update. So that's good news for folks that are asking that, because I know we've been asked that for a while. So I don't have the official details on that, but if you were looking for that, it sounds like there's some good news on the horizon there.
John had a question around, hey, on these Microsoft features, does this have anything to do with SIP? And so we are partnered with SIP. We are a sponsor of, we are partnered with Cyberdrain. We're a sponsor of SIP. we see all of the value that Sip and Kelvin and his whole team bring to the industry. We're supporting all of their open source efforts to make sure that we continue giving access to everyone in the MSP community. The ability to do all of these features is really important. We launched XMM specifically because we know M365 in managing all of that is the future of IT management. We see the importance of collaborating very closely with the SIP team to help advance in the industry as a whole. So we haven't created something kind of together just yet, but you should see some things. You'll see some things in the future and continued like kind of best in class for Microsoft management there. And then there's a couple of questions around hybrid. Does this work for hybrid on-prem versus cloud? How does the Entra work there? So we aren't doing anything specific with if you are fully on-prem at the moment, but if you have hybrid and you have features like write back enabled, things like password reset should still work, and we'll still be able to pull in all of that user information. So again, kind of for this first bit, it's all cloud, and then there's if you have write back or some of the other features enabled to keep your Entra ID sync together with your on-prem, it should work in your hybrid.
Craig's asking, is there early access for asset warranty tracking? I didn't think this one would probably need it because this one is a bit of a low lift, but you know what, Craig? I mean, I know you, so just shoot me an email, and I probably shouldn't say this because everybody will send me a note, but I'll get you into an early access if you want to play with it early. Because I know you've always given great feedback, so that's no problem.
Someone was asking a question on licenses and do we have plans to allow people to mix and match? So if you have, 6, licensed users at your company, can 3 of them be on core and 3 of them be on team? We don't have any plan for that in place right now. So it's your whole team is on, your whole team is on team or your whole team is on core. We don't have a mix and match in place for licenses for that in plan.
Aaron asked specifically around saying, hey, we pull counts from the contacts module to bill our clients, and we want to exclude specific accounts from syncing from the Entra ID sync. Yes. So you can exclude domains, you can exclude departments, you can exclude groups. So we pull all of that information over. So when you set up the Entra ID sync, you can pick and choose kind of what goes into what customer organization in Syncro. And you can also, if you wanted to manage like 3 customers in Syncro under the same Microsoft tenant, you can do that and sync those users specifically to each one of those customer organizations. Again, our doc center goes really into a lot of detail there, but if you set it up and you have questions or you feel like you need to audit, please feel free to reach out.
And just a note on that too, even beyond that, if you've got the ones you're syncing in and you want to filter that further within the recurring invoices, when you bring in your contact counts, you could even say if custom field equals X or does not equal Y or whatever. So you have additional filters within the invoicing as well.
Someone is asking if they missed availability for network discovery and should they see it now in team plan. So it is available. You may need to go into your tabs and turn it on. And so once again, in the doc center, if you just open the doc center and search network discovery, it will show up. And the first thing in there is how to make sure you're seeing the new tab. But that is generally available. So you can go turn it on as part of your team plan.
Kevin's asking if there's not already, is there a way to monitor devices that might have gone offline or service that stop on a device, or if a service offering might not be considered? We have that today. So in the policies, you're going to have offline alerts. That'll throw an RMM alert. You can do whatever you want from there within our automated remediation module. Same thing for processes and services that are down, missing, or running if you want something to not be running and you're looking for that. And then with network discovery, when you add in those devices through SNMP, we can also trip whether or not those network devices are offline. So you should be able to get notified on the full gamut of devices or whatever you want there for offline stuff for sure.
Joe had a question around Syncro MSP employees being granted access to the portals. Yes, there are some internal things that we would like to continue to do. I don't have a specific time that will be released as of yet. But as of now, and I know your further question is any access being logged. Yes, all of that access is currently logged, so we can see exactly what actions were taken by any users kind of within the Syncro platform, and we know when they were taken by a Syncro employee, if it's a support staff that's reaching in to help you out and do things with you. So we can provide any of those logs there. We know we have improvements on our audit logging in general for access for you. So that's something that's on my mind and on my list for later this year. But yes, we are looking at a lot of those security features internally.
Kristen, this is probably a question for you. Somebody's asking, once you complete the process for integrating the Microsoft stuff, how long does it take to show up? That's relatively quick, yeah?
Yeah, almost like minutes. It depends on how big your CSP is. If you have a huge number of tenants in your CSP, you'll see it kind of come in as we sync each one of those tenants. And then it syncs every hour after that. So you'll get any updates, secure score updates, user updates every hour. And yeah, Robert says less than 5 minutes from his experience so far. So it's pretty fast.
Joe's asking, any future integration with guards? I can't really speak to anything that's floating out there with security products right now. I mean, we are looking to add more things for sure. I wouldn't say guards necessarily specifically, but if that's a product you use, Joe, shoot me an email. And this goes for anybody else. If you're using something and you would love to see it inside of Syncro for any reason, let me know, Andy@syncromsp.com. I'd love to hear about your guys' experience with these products, guards included.
We had a network discovery question of when network discovery finds a new device, could it show up under alerts to notify us? And so one of the things we are adding in is the ability to get notifications as part of network discovery. Should be releasing, over the coming couple of weeks, along with a handful of other smaller quality of life improvements around network discovery as well.
There's another good question, Kristen. I don't think we do this now, but they're asking if there's a way to track tech actions that they've taken within their M365 tenants. I know obviously with the drift component, we'll be able to know if they screwed something up and didn't put it back to where it should be, but is there any plans for something like that in the future?
Yeah, so that I think goes back to audit logging. So audit logging is on our list. We are tracking all of those actions, but I think surfacing them in the right way to all of you is something that we need to improve upon across the whole platform. So that's something I think there are some activity logs. I'm going to double check this with product in the background on the end user page of what actions people have taken, but I will double check that and come back. There's a question around Microsoft 365 Lighthouse and the Microsoft integration. So I think it's a great question. We are leveraging a lot of Lighthouse so if you're using Lighthouse, what we're doing in Syncro is very, very similar to how you would use things in Lighthouse. But as we've been collaborating with Microsoft and kind of looking forward, there's a lot of things that are not in Microsoft that we're hoping to continue to expose in Syncro to give you that multi-tenant view. So there's things that you will see that are direct kind of comparison equivalents of things that are in Lighthouse, and then you'll see us continue to add more onto that for larger coverage than some of the things that Lighthouse does.
And one of our product managers in the background just let me know that when you guys take the user actions that Kristen was showing earlier for like password resets and MFA resets, those actions that were taken in Syncro will get logged on the end user record today. But yeah, other things would be down the road. Mark's asking, one thing keeping me on Screen Connect I have is the ability to allow, sounds like your end users to remotely access their PCs with remote access. Is there anything comparable through Syncro or Splashtop? There is. We do have work from home licenses on Syncro. So in Syncro, I don't know if you're using our customer portal today, but that's where you can have your end users go in and open tickets and pay invoices, and you can give them permissions and all those kinds of things. You can also give them access to their endpoints, and it's a paid license. It's $5 per contact. So it doesn't matter if they have access to 100 endpoints or just one endpoint, it's just $5 a contact, and they'll be able to remotely access through Splashtop any of the endpoints that you've given them permission to see within our customer portal.
I see a couple questions around people not seeing their Microsoft options in their settings. And so I guess two things on that. One is it is in early access, and so you'd need to be signed up for early access in order to see those options. And when they're generally available, they'll be generally available to everyone in Team Plan, and we are hoping to make them generally available within the next couple of weeks. And so those would be the two reasons why you might not be seeing them if you're not in early access, is the biggest one. We have, like I said, about 100 accounts right now that are in early access.
I think Bobby's picking this up. Somebody's asking about support for physical security keys. We have that today, yeah?
Yes, we have that today. We have that today. You can use hardware security tokens directly as your MFA.
Jeremy's asking, and I'm just going to read this to you, Chris, and have you answer. I don't totally comprehend, but he's asking about a sync now button for OntraSync. Part of our new user setup process includes adding some custom field data, something we can't do until the records are synced or manually duplicated.
It's not in there right now. It is something that we're thinking about. We haven't put, we don't have specific plans on it, but I know it's something we've discussed, so I don't have like specific where it fits kind of in the list of things we want to do with Microsoft. There is a question from Richard on, we use Duo MFA in M365. Will Syncro be able to reset Duo MFA? From what we've looked into, we think the answer is yes, Richard. We would be happy to kind of partner with you on seeing how this works. If you're using it through conditional access and it's configured the way it's configured in Microsoft, we believe it should work, but I'm not positive on that answer. So we'll need to test it out.
Great. And then I have one feature request that came in around adding online indicator in the mobile app so that you can easily see which assets are online or not. I know Bobby's on the call in the background, so I'll have him take that one under consideration for the mobile app roadmap.
Kai's asking on the patching module, can you select more? Is it paginated at 25, or it sounds like they're asking if you can view more than that at the same time? If any of the product folks on the back end, if you want to answer that while we're going through a couple other questions here, we'll find out.
Yeah,
Okay, I think we'll grab one or two more, and I think we're going to call it. But this was great. There's a ton of questions here. Jim's asking, is MS Management only for the Teams plan? That is a Teams plan exclusive feature, Jim. Yes. Just give it a second to see if anybody answers that. Okay, yeah, so the pagination now is locked to 25. So currently it can't be customized. So we'll take that as a feature request. That's a good question. Okay,
great.
I think that's it. Thanks everybody for the questions. This was a great round. We have a lot of good stuff today. So really excited to see you all at the next one.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking time with us today, and we'll look forward to talking to you again next month.
Yeah, thank you all.